Well, hello again, racing fans. Welcome to Behind the Lines here at Hoosier Park. With me this evening, trainer Matt Rheinheimer, as he joins us for a brief look at what he can expect or what he would like to expect this year from a very good pupil of his, a 3-year-old trotting filly with the name of Chirito. Welcome aboard, Matt.
Thanks for having me.
Well, last year for you, it was certainly I would have to think, a memorable year. For someone that has been in the horse business for quite some time. You had a very nice trotting filly with the name of Chirito, and a couple of questions that we're going to fire out to you here, and then we also have some Twitter questions from the racing fans who have been following along. First of all, Chirito from the first crop of, I believe, Air Zoom Lind. You know what? I just talked myself right into that one there. Zoom Lindy, first crop, and this filly you purchased this filly at the sale for $3,700. What attracted you to this filly when you were out looking at yearlings?
Nothing really. We never even gave her a glance when we were at the sale. I had Paul Webb from Ivy Lane come find me and wanted me to look at her. We went and looked at her and really weren't interested, but by that time in the sale we were.
You were getting desperate.
Yeah, we were getting desperate looking for horses, and we ended up buying her, and it's all worked out since.
Rest is history. $3,700 investment certainly has paid off for you, Matt, as the filly went on to win $163,000 last year, as well, actually $263,000 as a 2-year-old. The owner, Jackie Porter from Taylor, Michigan. Jackie been involved in harness racing for very long, and in the Indiana program, or more into the Michigan program, if you will?
Yeah, we started. He's been in it for quite a while.
Okay. So no stranger to horse racing.
No stranger to horse races. He was Hazel Park, Raceway Park. He had horses up to trainers up there. I got hooked up with him through Fred Shirey.
Okay. Dr. Shirey?
Yeah, he gave me a call one day and said Jackie was looking for somebody to take one for him.
Not this filly, though?
No, not this filly.
Okay.
We started out with a Michigan bred, and it's just progressed from there. He's a very good owner. I mean, lets me do my job, just leaves me alone.
Well, when you have a filly like this, it's certainly hard to be too disappointed. When did you, during the course of training this filly down, breaking the filly, of course, and then early in her 2-year-old season, when did you realize that you might have something special?
It wasn't early on because she wasn't much.
Really?
She was, she'd want to stop during the mile. Just 2-year-old things. I guess probably the second qualifier. I kind of thought she might be something, but wasn't sure. So I threw her in an hours one after it qualified her,
right.
And I drove her. I figured if anybody's going to look like a fool, it was going to be me. But she was good, real good.
Finished second by a length.
Yeah, and she just kind of progressed from there. She
certainly had a nice debut there, trotting home in 28 seconds flat. And that after the winning qualifier that you just talked about, where she trotted home in 28-1. And after that, things started to happen for you. I noticed you used the 2 qualifiers for the filly last year, going into her career debut. Thus far this year, I see you've got 1 qualifier, and that qualifier here back on May the 2nd, where she wins by 2.5 lengths in 157. Final quarter 28-3. What are your plans? You're planning to qualify the filly again. You do start. I should say Indiana Sire Stakes starts next week on Wednesday. So obviously we're getting awfully close here to that first start, or that projected first start. Certainly, are you thinking about another qualifier, or we're getting too close now?
Well, my plans kind of changed on that one. I was planning on qualifying her Wednesday.
Okay.
She come up a little sick this weekend, and instead of creating more problems, I just left her out this week, and we'll just train her up good and pray for the best.
So 1 qualifier going into her 3-year-old debut then, and I'm assuming Sire Stakes next Wednesday.
Yep, next Wednesday we're shooting for.
Okay, very good. And looking at the lines from last year, the filly only shows to have made one break, and that was in the first preliminary final, going for $75,000. And she was second, disqualified, placed third, but still trotted in 157. That's the only break that the filly shows as a 2-year-old. That's pretty special.
Yeah, that's very special. What happened that night, I really don't know.
Just a green 2-year-old.
Yeah, Trace said he went to the left-hand whip on her a little bit, and he thought maybe she might have shied away from it.
Sure.
Had people tell me it was a finish line. I mean, I'm just chalking it up as it was a 2-year-old. I mean, she's green.
Right.
Didn't really know what was going on.
Right. And then after that, it was nothing but victories. Her final, super final, victory was by 11 1/4 lengths. That was the largest margin of victory for her. She did win by a nose in another preliminary final, winning in 157. That was the closest margin of victory for her. What mile, last year's a 2-year-old, what mile do you think was her best mile? When did she put in what she thought was her best effort as a 2-year-old?
I'd have to say the last one. I mean,
the super final.
The super final. I mean, she was pretty impressive that night, and just looked like she could trot on more.
Right. Sure. Absolutely. Well, let's go to the Twitter questions. We do have a number of Twitter questions from the racing fans out there. Jacob Hall asked you, as her trainer, what is the filly? What is Charita's? What is her greatest quality?
I'd have to say she's so easy on herself. She takes care of herself. She's an easy trainer, easy jogger. Anybody can take care of her. I mean,
okay. Makes it easy for you.
Yes, it makes my job a lot easier.
Luke Kennedy asks if this is the best horse that you've ever trained.
By far.
By far.
By far.
Well, you've trained quite a few horses, and it's always good to see someone like yourself that comes along with a horse like this here. Michelle Arbuckle asks, did Trotting Bred Racing, first let me preface this question, you and I go back a long ways, both having raced the Trotting Bred ponies for quite a few years. That's how we got started. And so Michelle Arbuckle asks if the Trotting Bred Racing helped you prepare for Standardbred Racing in any way.
Oh, yeah, by far. Just teaches you so much about a horse. It was by far the best thing to teach you how to take care of horses, how to race horses.
It's very similar. They're just a different size, is all.
It is. I wish some of the Standardbreds had the hearts that what them things have, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. It's certainly that it is. And another question here, and you've already touched on this here. What particular race stuck out? And of course, you did talk about the Super Final. We've got that Super Final ready to go here. We're going to take a look at that. Last year, 2014, actually was October 18th, I believe, and we're looking at the fourth race. Going into that fourth race, you were, of course, on a tear here. You'd won 6 consecutive. Going into that fourth race on that Super Final night, you drew post position 7. Was that a bit of a concern at all?
No, not really with her. She's pretty handy off the gate.
Pretty handy off the gate. Obviously, that's something that's a big asset as well. So let's take a look at the fourth race from Saturday, October the 18th, as we watch the 2-year-old trotting fillies racing for $200,000.
As they make the turn, ready for the start, looks like Special JJ breaking stride of the outside. Here they come. And they're off and trotting. From the outside, mid-pack, Doge Sunbreeze sent hard for the lead. Jesse's Promise right there between horses. Golden Big Stick leaving aggressively tonight for Hanners as he looks for racing position with her. Herbie's Wildflower gaps out in 4th as Charita drops into the 5th spot. Marvelous Savage will follow her. Towards the inside, Crunch's Finale. Another 2 back to Double Jesse. Then it's Meadowbrook Sheila and the trailer Special JJ. 26 and 4. A hot first quarter here set by Doge Sunbreeze and Sam Widger as they kick away from the field by some 2.5 lengths, but Golden Big Stick quickly reels her in now. Inside, Jesse's Promise trots in 3rd. Meantime, Herbie's Wildflower continues in 4th, and here she comes now. The heavy post-time favorite Charita is out and underway for Tetrick, and Charita moves from 5th. She's now 4th, now 3rd, now 2nd, and Charita coming right up alongside stablemate Doge Doge Sunbreeze. Together they pass the half in 57-2. But Charita goes right by. She'll take the lead. That leaves Marvelous Savage first over, as she is there attacking the leader in second. Doge Sunbreeze was spent early. She retreats quickly now. To the outside, Golden Big Stick, a perfect second of her trip there for Hanners, and on her back comes Crunch's Finale. They come to the top of the stretch as they reach 3/4, and Charita leads by 2. Marvelous Savage to the inside, and Golden Big Stick squares off for the stretch battle. 3/4 and 1:27-1 as they move midway through the stretch. It's Charita. Charita by 3. Golden Big Stick to the outside. Now moves to second. Marvelous Savage back to third. And late trot here from Crunch's Finale. And to the outside as they come to the 16th pole, it's Double Jessie, but it's all Charita. There is the 2014 champion, Charita, in 1:56.
Matt, very impressive effort there from Charita as she wins that $200,000 final. Certainly some great memories there in 2014 for the 2-year-old trotting filly. 1:56, and she just drew off to win by 11 1/4 lengths. How fast could this filly go as a 2-year-old? I mean, 56 was a smart mile there, and obviously no one anywhere close to her. Somebody would have pushed her a couple more fifths of a second, or was that all she wanted?
It's hard to say. I mean, Trace always says she just goes as much as she has to go, and I guess they don't put the time on the check.
No, that they don't. Thank goodness. You had another filly in that race. In fact, Doge Sunbreeze was one of the 2 finalists that you had. Not too often that you see a trainer with 2 finalists going for $200,000. So certainly you had a great year last year, not with 1 but 2 trotting fillies. She, of course, whacked it out there and set them some pretty quick fractions for driver Sam Widger, and the other filly, Charita, was there to finish it up in that big event. We talked a little bit off the air. It's a long season from start to finish. How do you keep a filly like this fresh and sharp from June all the way to middle of October? That's a long time.
Just lots of turnout time. She loves being outside.
That's where she's happy.
Yes, she's very happy. Just keeping her happy. That's the biggest thing with her. She doesn't like too much work. You give her too much work, she'll be the first to tell you.
Well, I don't either, but
no, I'm not either. But no, she's. You just keep her happy, and she'll give you everything she's got. Okay,
so she had 10 starts last year, and I do notice that you had 2 qualifiers midway through the season. Other than that first start in that nominators of 1, all the other starts were Indiana Sire Stakes events, and so 2 qualifiers there. Something that we don't see too often. Sometimes a trainer will throw a horse in an overnight event. Why the 2 qualifiers versus an overnight event?
Just basically just trying to keep her fresh. And plus I kind of run her out of class, so they weren't really writing too many classes for her. So
right.
We just opted to, basically stick to the Sire Stakes and, try to keep her fresh off of qualifiers and keep her sharp.
Keep her sharp, absolutely. So, any changes in her upcoming 3-year-old campaign?
No.
In her routine?
No, pretty much the same. She likes to train. She likes to jog. She likes to be turned out. It's about all. I mean, you can't ask for a much simpler horse to take care of.
Okay. Any expectations for the filly? Something you'd like to see? Something you'd like to see her do this year, or any concerns that you might have?
No, of course you'd like to see her repeat what she did last year, but
sure.
You don't know if that's going to happen, but as long as she stays healthy, sound, tries every time, that's all you can ask.
So she's going to have only 1 qualifier going into the Sire Stakes this year. We do anticipate some fillies that have been racing in late closing events here the last month or so to step up and try the Sire Stakes as well. Is that a bit of a concern where they come in extremely sharp and fit versus coming off of 1 qualifier?
Oh, yeah, it's always a concern. There's some pretty nice trotting fillies out there right now that have been racing strong, but we just had to take what we got and go from there.
Well, you seem to be pretty even-keeled, pretty laid back, Matt. Any pressure?
Oh, there's always pressure, but I think I'm my worst enemy some days. I put the pressure all on myself.
Let me ask you this. The filly, obviously, Indiana sired. Are you planning on staking her anywhere else outside of the state of Indiana?
No, we're pretty much shooting for the sire stakes. We did pair into some of the Grand Circuit stuff at the end of the year.
Okay.
But other than that, we pretty much just opted for the sire stakes. I mean, she can race for enough money, so we'll give this a shot.
Do you care to share what those stakes may be else? I'm assuming outside of the state, Lexington or...
No. I believe the Circle City and...
okay.
The other one.
So the event's here.
Yeah, the event's here. Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Very good. Testing some of the Grand Circuit horses, and we touched on it a little bit earlier with Doge Sunbreeze. How on earth do you balance two trotting fillies in the same class throughout the entire year? I mean, obviously you're focused on you'd like to be focused on a filly like Sharita, but you've got another one here that is begging for attention as well. Train them together at all?
Yeah, actually, it's a little simpler when they're in the same class, same race. They train together, they get turned out together. It's what one gets, the other one gets too on the same days. So
sure.
it makes it pretty simple.
Sure. Any expectations for her, for Doge Sunbreeze? I mean, has she grown up any this year? You've qualified her, twice now?
I qualified her once, and she was in the race last night.
Okay, and so... Anything that we can expect from her this year?
I think she could be a nice filly. She's kind of a little headstrong.
Okay.
But the biggest thing is I just have to find somebody that can get along with her. And I think
as far as the driver?
As far as the driver.
Okay.
Dale drove her last night, and I think he got along with her pretty good. She has her little quirks, and you just have to deal with it. Because
right.
You're not going to change her.
Right, okay. And speaking of drivers, then when you do put a driver up on especially on a 2-year-old on a trotting filly, not just a 2-year-old trotting filly, but any trotting filly for that matter, any instructions, or do you tell them about the quirks, the idiosyncrasies of the fillies, or I mean, as we all know, trotting fillies can tend to can test your patience, obviously. Yeah. So when you put a driver up, obviously, like you mentioned, you'd like to try to find a driver that you think fits the filly or fits the horse. Yeah. But give him any driving instructions?
You can give him your side of the story, but I mean, they've drove enough horses. They know.
Right.
They know what to do and what not to do. But on a mare like Sunbreeze, she has some driving instructions that just have to be met, or you're not going to get her to the gate.
One of those fillies that, like you said, a little headstrong, and get her to the gate, get her off the gate, you're probably fine after that.
Yeah, get her off the gate, you drive her with 2 fingers.
Well, that's certainly the case, because last year she trotted, in 26-4 to the quarter. I believe it was her that in that final, so she does have some gate speed. Sharita, gate speed, or does she prefer to race off the pace, or is she just one of those versatile horses?
I think she's very versatile. She could leave off the wings. She could set from behind. She didn't get much time to come from behind, so I'm kind of curious to see how fast she'll come home if given the chance.
Okay, well, we certainly wish you the very best of luck. I just thought it would be nice to have a trainer on that came off of a big year, and Sharita's obviously coming off of a career year, and we hope to see her again in the winner's circle with Indiana Sire Stakes, and again, it's going to be a long summer, but I'm sure you'll do just fine. Any 2-year-olds coming along that kind of excites you right at this point?
I have a couple that I'm getting a little excited about, but they're
trotters, pacers?
Trotters.
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 You're trot man. What happened?
I don't know what happened, but just seemed to fall my way, and that's where I ended up. So.
Okay. Very good. Well, Matt Rheinheimer, thanks for joining us on Behind the Lines here. Next week, we will try to have another trainer on with similar connections here, and we'll talk a little bit more about Indiana Sire Stakes. Again, Sire Stakes does begin next Wednesday evening with the 3-year-old trotting fillies, and then I believe the trotting colts will take place on Thursday. Pacing fillies on Friday, pacing colts then, of course, will come next Saturday for the first round of Indiana Sire Stakes. For Behind the Lines, I'm Steve Cross. Thanks again for joining us. Wishing you the best of luck here at Hoosier Park this evening.